G'day, guys, and welcome to the Centre Bounce. It's your boy Joe. Big J's running just a little bit late. Big J will be with us shortly. Hope you're all having a wonderful Monday night, if you don't mind, guys. As I was waiting for him, I'm just pulling out some of the pre-season reports because we are getting some training notes. It is so exciting. And I'm literally just opening up a bunch of tabs here on the side so I can start sharing with you guys some of the news that's coming out, some of the track watchers, what they're seeing. Peatling, for example, being one of the, a highlight for those who weren't sure about various different roles that people are playing. And they're in all sorts of different whether they be X posts or whether they be news reports. Obviously, there are other content creators that are also doing such a great job in posting. We'll obviously be showing some of those as well. Nerds for Life is one that really comes to mind. So they're really good, really, really good. So got some information to share with you, lads. Globes, g'day, how's it going, my peanut, mate? Good to see you. G-Bags, how we doing? Jeez, bro, unbranded, not in the chat yet, and yet you're already preempting it. Maybe, are you trying to summon unbranded or something? Globes, I better not see any players over 30 in your squad, mate. No 30-plus-year-olds, all right? No 30-plus. Wait, how old's Bontempelli again? How old is Marcus Bontempelli? Please tell me Bontempelli is not over 30. He's not over 30, surely. Bont is 29. All right, good. We're good. No over 30s. All right? No over 30s. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Oh, no over 30s. Okay, I have to go then. I'll see you guys later. Okay.
Bye. See you, Big J. Good to see you, mate. And goodbye. Not in my team. Not in my team. Not happening. Get back in here.
How's it going? Oh, sorry, I heard no over 30s, and then that was it, really. Joe, happy Monday. Happy Monday stream. Hope everyone's here. Supercoach AFL. Jesus, mate. I think it's oh my gosh, 26 days until the Indigenous All-Stars. I'm trying to figure out how many days until the actual season starts.
Yeah, you can work that out. As you're doing that, I'm just pulling up all of these mid-season, the pre-season reports. I'm thinking that it might be a good idea to start sharing some of that info with people.
100%. Especially now post-Christmas. Obviously Carlton's had a few injuries and whatnot, but a lot of the other teams, just figuring out where players are playing, who's fit, all that kind of jazz. It's important, especially for our Supercoach teams.
Absolutely. And there's for a whole slew of teams as well. So it's not like one team or two teams. There's a lot of info out there. What else is there? Hey, Theo. G'day, Theo. Hey, guys, when can you rate my team? Hope you guys are well.
Ooh. Well, we'll have a look. We'll see how we go. After this post, I'm going to post something up. Stay tuned for our Facebook. Stay tuned for the channel. Hopefully doing a video up on Wednesday. So keep an eye out. There'll be a thing to post. We'll probably have until Wednesday to do it, and then we'll go from there. Be fun.
Remember, I saw you at Crown. Bro, you didn't even tell me who you were. I still remember walking away thinking to myself, he knows me. He knew me. Aww. He called me by name, but you didn't say how you knew me. I was thinking to myself, bro, you can't just be Orange Joe, all good, and then just walk away and not say, I know you from Centre Bounce or something. Bro, you had me tripping, Theo. You had me tripping, mate. That was hilarious. G-Bags, thoughts on mid-price defenders? Not a fan of Mills, as he has the same bias Coleman, Dacos. That's the thing, bro. That's the thing. That's where the team management and the balancing goes a long way into hitting the ground running. You're gonna have to make a decision of which ones you're gonna cut. I know a lot of people are cutting Dacos, what with the elevated price tag, the early buy, plus the foot complaint. So a lot of people already have put a line through Dacos. Bailey Smith in the forward line, surely you can find someone to cover. Coleman and Mills, means that you can't run a Bice on your bench either because he shares the bye with Mills, and you really want to have as many players as possible. So you're going to have to make that decision, which ones you value more.
I love it. I love mid-price defenders. I think they're the best thing since sliced bread. They're generally where you can pick up a lot of value. But if I'm just looking at the list at the moment, you've obviously got your Matt Roberts, your Jaden Shorts around that price, at least around the mid-price spot where, hey, there is some value versus reward. Lawton Humphreys is definitely one that I'm tracking. Shout out to Rodney if he's watching. And then you kind of move down a little bit as well, and you start to look at guys like Logan Evans, and even a sneaky Dogs player, one to track at the moment, is Joel Freeger. Kind of just at his price, see how he's going. Rory Lobb potentially as well if he's going to get some more midfield time. So there is potential there. It's not just pick Callum Mills and forget. It's just that he's the one that's been talking about the most. I'm more than happy to go pick Logan Evans if he keeps up with his positioning like what he did last year, because the guy was a freak and he dominated and was scoring hundreds and took Houston's kickouts and did really well. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, but I think there's definite potential there, and I think with a lot of people's forward lines already locked in. I mean, I don't know if Joe's going to talk about I don't know if Joe's going to talk about St Kilda and their training and whatnot, but Mateus Philippou and Jack McRae seem to be locks. So a lot of people's forward lines are locked in. It's defense where they're going to get some extra points. So, yeah, you maybe get 3 of those instead of like a Sinclair and a Kadeem Coleman. Cool. You've now got a bit of a point of difference. Cheese, before we go through the rest of the list, I think there was some talk that Lob was supposed to be doing a bit of training there pre-Christmas. So, yeah, we'll see. Fellow, same thing.
Yep. We will be talking about St Kilda for sure. We might even start with them, to be honest. Let me just... Sorry. Still just going through all of the... There's a bit now. I think I've got a bit open and we can go through them, and then people that ask questions along the way, more than happy to pull that information. G'day, Shawnee. How we doing, man? Ben in as well. How are you, Ben? Tatum's Tantrum. Evening to you. BJ, Big J running late. It's all right. He's here. G'day, Velo.
I was 1 minute.
No,
it was 7:01.
It was 2.5 minutes at least. Piss off.
Oh, sorry, man.
It was 2.5 minutes at least.
Jeez, you forgot the drive home episodes where we would be 15 minutes late.
What can I do? Lethal, welcome in, lads. Always awesome having you guys live on the Monday. Thanks for joining us, mate. Love to see you. Glad you already said hi to Unbranded. Everyone was already saying hi to you before you even came in, mate. Before you even came in, everyone was loving you. G'day, Michael. There you go, Velo saying hello again. Charles, I'm live for the first time this year.
What's up, Charles? I tell you what, every episode that we post up, Charles is like, Maui's. Boys, thanks for posting. Thanks for doing everything. It's been amazing.
Charles is a lad. He's a legend, Charles. There you go. Velo says hello to you as well. Unbranded has literally become a community favorite. It's true. Honestly, Unbranded. I might want to name a son after you one day. What's your name? Unbranded.
Do you name your son Unbranded, mate? Your wife's going to be like, what are you doing?
Naming your son the unbranded one. I love it. 7 weeks or so to the first game of the season. Yeah, well, we're not going to waste any more time before that point, mate. We are going to get and start showing some information of what's been happening. Let's share the screen. Share the screen. I guess, actually, what's this? The first one? I think this first one, that's a North Melbourne one. We'll talk about North Melbourne in a sec. Some observations in relation to the St Kilda Football Club. This is the St Kilda training, January 13th, courtesy of Big Footy.
I think there was some more recent.
There is a more recent one, and that's this one. So the one last week, a week ago, I think of most relevance, they're talking about Pooh, serious professional, hardly speaks. Interesting, very interesting to note. If you want someone who's a quiet person on your team, who doesn't talk much, apparently Philippou is a great asset to have there at the front of everything. You love to see it. Nas, so people interested in Nazaya, Wanganeen Millera, you got his kicking standing out, beautiful run. Weapon Travalia, for people who keeping notes on Toby Travalia, he played on the wing, moved beautifully, copped a mouthful for snapping at goal instead of giving hands, deserved it, took it well. All right, well, there you go. So Travalia is good at taking feedback and playing on the wing, which is pretty good. So that's what I wanted to sort of raise from the first one, Travalia on a wing. And then we move to the more recent one. This is today, as of today, thanks to Shrapnel, posting it on good old X. Max Hall in the ones. Now, Max Hall, do we know anything about Max Hall, Big J?
No.
We know nothing about Max Hall. He just somehow manages to
find guys. Sorry. No, he's a forward mid in Supercoach, but I don't think there's any real relevance for him. There's some good talk, though, about, I don't think it shows it on there, but McRae basically playing 100% mid-time. And then Philippou also playing majority mid as well. So for a team, a couple of players that have, the best buy and no early buy, they've almost cemented themselves as a must-have in my team at the moment.
Well, there you go. Velo's got here some information there. Maxwell was a mid-season draft pickup last year. Pretty sure he's a 22-year-old as well. So he is a mature age. He came out of Box Hill. And we know Box Hill good at pumping out good players for the Hawks. So good on the Saints for stealing someone out of there from that brigade. Manages to find a way to get in. So, but it is an 18v18, of course, when it comes to intra-club matches. People have to fill it in positions and will play roles that they otherwise might not play come season proper. So just because Travalia is playing in the twos doesn't mean that he is far away from the selection and debuting early. For example, sometimes they want to balance the teams up so they can have a really good matchup. Sometimes I feel that if it's just the A's versus the B's, that it might not be competitive. So they try to balance it up. So, hey, John O'Carroll was in there as well. We can see John O'Carroll. I don't know if he might not be in the chat just yet, but I see you, John O, mate, commenting here. The mix.
Sneaky bugger. Yeah.
Yes, sneaky.
100%. I mean, if you look at a lot of North Melbourne's training sessions at the moment, they're almost doing a match sim every week. I think if Cause is in the chat, he'll end up going to the one on Thursday. Maybe he can give us a bit of a rundown of how it goes. They always have Luke Parker and Wardlaw on one team versus Sheasel and McKercher, things like that, just to try and even them out, because you never want to have the games where it's just dominant. You're not really doing much training at that point. It's just picking on the scrawny kids a bit, Joe.
That's why I said no over 30s.
It's like you can have one homer, but you can't have over
30.
No 31.
He is 30, so he just makes the final cut. If he was over 30, then I would have been in shambles. But thankfully, thankfully I'm not there. There you go.
9 o'clock. 9 o'clock training's on for North Melbourne.
get on the Nick Marto train, boys. Bro, mate, you know me last year, Cheese. You know me last year. I was ranting and raving about the great man, Nick Martin. Wish we had multiple of him in the side. We all called him that he was going to be a top 6 defender. We finished 9th, top 9, but there was a bit of a role change. He was on track for top 6 before the role change. So, ended up being a top 10 defender, 105, playing around the midfield. I think he'll be better playing in the midfield than playing off half-back, to be honest. But only time will tell. He does have the early buy, which is a little unfortunate.
Yeah, it hurts. I think it's going to scare a few people off from picking Zach Merritt as well and some other players. Unfortunately, the early buy is not great.
There you go. Kai, how are you doing, Kai? Good to see you, mate. Never take too much out of A's and B's, as you have the likes of Packley and Rankin spending 100% mid-time. Exactly. Not going to happen.
Oh, that makes you feel good about picking Rankins, though.
Yeah. By the way, is my microphone sounding okay, or is it still fuzzy?
It sounds a little bit distant, but it might just be a setting on the actual microphone. Just check if it's check in settings if it's actually the one that's being chosen to.
Am I sounding a bit better now? I increased the gain on the microphone.
Do you want to just check the settings? I can see if the input is the right one.
It should be.
Yeah. Guys, while Joe fixes up his microphone, we've got a little bit of a nice suggestion here, or a nice thing to talk about. You can now, and let me just figure this out while Joe's figuring that out.
Have I got it? Is it working now?
Yeah, that's better. You guys can actually now be a member of the channel. So this year we're doing something a little bit different, something a little bit extra for a lot of you guys. We'll put out a video over the next couple of days or so, but if you feel like, hey, the centre bounce, I love these guys, I want to contribute a little bit better, I want to contribute a little bit more, feel free. Obviously, no obligations. We do have memberships now. We're going to be doing some pretty amazing stuff throughout the season, one including our community team, which is going to be something cool. We'll have some members-only live streams and comments, and going to throw out a few more emojis and whatnot in the chat as well. So there's just the option there next to the subscribe button down below. Obviously, no pressure at all. We love you guys. Nothing will change on our end as well. So, yeah, just a bit of something new that's popped up that some people might have noticed.
So, yes, you are more than welcome, guys. No obligation, as you said. If you want to support the channel, more than welcome to. Would greatly appreciate it, of course. The most important thing is your viewership and us having a great community and us having a good time together and stuff. So if you want to shout us out a coffee every month, would be greatly appreciated. But, having you guys stick around and watch all of our stuff and ask us your questions, and hopefully one of us here in the community ends up winning the 50K. That's the dream right there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so back to what we were doing. Now that I'm sounding much better, thanks, guys, for the feedback. This was from, I'm pretty sure you shared this, Jez, the other day.
Yeah.
Talking about the Sheasel and Kobe McKercher.
Yep. Yeah, McKercher's basically been playing close to full-time mid a little bit. It's been quite exciting. Let me just grab my...
He's very, very excited about McKercher. Spending much more time around the ball while still dropping back when the play calls for it. He looks fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous, guys.
He's a good player. He's a good player. The beautiful thing about North Melbourne is, yes, well, they're the team that I go for. So there's one thing. But North Melbourne has a lot of very good talent that's still very young. So guys like McKercher, I mean, he's only 19. Next year, I'm banking on him being a primo. So kind of just shows off how well his scoring is going to be this year. One to definitely watch out for.
Yep, for sure. There was a few more that came on. Shrek held out of the match, Sim, said Michael. Yes, that's correct. He was.
Interesting.
Where was it? Was it on here? Yeah, Freo training, started with drills and match streams and more drills, another match sim. Sean Darcy received a large cheer from the group and joined in all the drills, however, didn't join in the match sim. Well, Damo, good friend of the channel, Damo, was saying that he was over there and it was a really hot, stinking, humid day. And there was no way that they were going to go full on with the match sim. But the good thing to note about Sean Darcy doing all of the match sim as well is that it was reported he did not have any strapping on his knee. And he normally always has strapping on his knee. But it seems that the extra shedded kilos that he got rid of over the preseason is doing what we all imagined it would do. And he's running very nimbly, and it's really awesome. You love to see it. I'm so sold on Sean Darcy. I was sold on him from last year, to be honest. But the more and more that we hear from it, the better. And Luke Jackson was basically almost full-time forward. So it just goes to show that Fremantle absolutely are putting their eggs in the Sean Darcy basket in the ruck.
Well, it just offers something else. I mean, Jackson himself is very, very mobile. The kid's fantastic. We know what he can offer, and I think as a number two, it's crazy to say, I think as a number two towards Tracy, it actually works really well. So, yeah, I think Darcy can't play anywhere else. Let's be realistic, right? He can't really play anywhere else. So, if he's going to play and Jackson's going to play, we know what their lineup's going to be, like just straight up.
Another thing that was really interesting to see, I think of note to come out of the Fremantle training session, is just how highly rated Cooper Simpson has been. I think a lot of people have Erasmus on the bench, but from reports, it seems Cooper Simpson's doing even better than that.
Yeah, one to watch. All these kind of players definitely pop up throughout the seasons, and I think a lot of the time, us as fans can be like, oh, why isn't this player playing and why isn't this player doing a different thing and blah, blah, blah. Having like the clubs kind of show off the players that they're going to show, especially with Cooper Simpson, really kind of, well, maybe they're thinking something different than what we are as fans. So these kind of players are the ones that generally will play a lot of the time as well if they feature quite heavily in the preseason. And even if they don't play round one, look for them once they do debut that, hey, they're going to be playing a lot when they come back in.
Yep. The only thing that sucks about North is that it's a lot of guessing and natural progression. Yep, exactly. Sarong had a plaster shoulder today or yesterday at training.
Yeah, I heard. Something had happened. I think. Let me just see if I can.
Yeah, he sat out. He sat out today. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so some people saying, hey, maybe Brayshaw might be a better pick, and we'll see what happens with that. I definitely know a lot of people aren't picking him, but then there's a lot of people that are like, hey, jump on the Brayshaw train, so potentially.
Then there are others. Like our good friend Steve from SDS Supercoach, who's pretty big on Hayden Young as the one to really step up. But I don't know, Hayden Young, he's the one who signed a really big contract. It just feels like, Brayshaw's the one coming out of contract. And if they want to keep Brayshaw in, they're really going to want to give him more of a midfield minutes. Plus, this is the first time in years that Brayshaw actually has had a full preseason without missing any sessions and not carrying any niggles. So I totally believe that. I feel like there's more upside in the Brayshaw selection for that price point. Plus, we saw how I think Sarong has really cemented himself now as one of the guns of the competition, one of the best young players. And so people, I think, will try and put attention on him first and foremost before they attack someone else. So I don't know. I really do like Brayshaw. I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's someone that I've never really owned in Supercoach. Actually, that's not true. Maybe 2 years ago, towards the end of the season, I brought him in because it was cheap and didn't really do that much. Hopefully, maybe this is the year. There is some value, obviously, in the pick as well, kind of being under 600K. The 600K guys, there's a lot more pressure on them to score well. because then they're going to drop down in price. So yeah, kind of one to watch there.
Yeah. So Reed
The
here,
30K between the two is obviously useful.
Reed O'Brien, mate. He's come in there, first choice out of Sydney's midfield. Mentions Chad Warner. Rodney comes in saying that he's bought a home. You can't be talking like this with Kai Broom in the chat. He's going to find you and he's going to sort you out. You cannot be talking this nonsense in front of Kai Broom. You will upset him. Don't do that to him. He's a good friend of the channel, guys. Keep it good.
I mean, like, if you follow, there's a guy that I watch on YouTube, the guy that I watch on Facebook, does a lot of videos there called Robbo. Talks a lot about house insurance and whatnot. Mate, he's saying go buy in WA just for investments. So maybe that's all what Warner's done. I know that there was a lot of talk, though, when Rory Lobb decided to buy a house in Melbourne while he still had 2 years left on his contract, and then the next year he left. So potentially, we'll see. I think WA boys, though, there's always a spot for them to go home. So why not buy where you can?
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Causa, how's it going, man? Love the forwards video, Big J, about Brent Daniels.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's one of those players. There's a couple of others in that forward line. Maybe not so much in the defense, but there's definitely potential for other players to come in and actually be locks in the position. I mean, we spoke about Shai Bolton, definitely Daniels in there as well. Though Causa kind of keeps talking about Daniels, so that's why I got a bit included. But there's definitely some other players in there that can steal the spots. So you have to talk about it, man. Like, there's value options everywhere.
Jaden, g'day, Jaden. I currently have 9 premiums, but only 1 premium defender in Chasel. I have Mills, Coleman, and a few rookies on field to complete my back line. Does it matter that I only have 1 premium defender?
No. This year, let's talk about 2024. There was definitely a lot of value. There was a lot of players around 500K that you could see as probably being locks. Hayden Young, Nick Martin, a few of these other players that were very cheap starting the season that you guys could have had and then kept for the entire time. I think this year's a little bit different where the 500K guys, obviously that's where the ranking comes from, but they're valued appropriately. There's no real opportunity there. I think Sheasel's the most dominant player in the AFL. Just crazy to say, but he's only 20 at the moment. But he's almost a must-have, no early buy, that kind of thing. I think after that, you can fill it out. The only thing I would say, Jaden, is have a look at the rest of your team. If your defense with as strong as it is now, is the worst spot, cool. If you've filled out most of the rest of the team, maybe you've gone 7-6 deep in the midfield. Maybe you've got no rookies on field in the forward line and 2 primo rucks and then another one. Cool. No worries. But you would hate to have this type of defense and then still have a lot of spots to fill in the team, because you think about where your money's going to go. You've got a lot of money, cash generation in your teams, but it sounds like at the moment that you're upgrading 5 spots in the back line. It's a bit rough. Most people have 2 or 3 or 4 to fill. Kadeen Coleman's probably not going to be a keeper. Mills potentially isn't a keeper. There's a couple of others there too. So yeah, just be careful about where your cash allocation is going to be, because it's going to hurt.
Yeah, only 9 premiums. Just in general means now it's also probably better to say to maybe not use the word premium and maybe go with the word keeper, as you say. Yeah. Because I mean, if you've got only 9 keepers, that's a lot of trades that you're gonna have to burn through to get them. So probably want a bit more safety, I guess, in numbers, diversifying your portfolio rather than putting all of your eggs in one basket. Because if those very few select premiums that you have selected don't pop off, you are sort of being left behind the pack. So having more premiums across that you think are value for money, that will outscore rookies, there's definitely it's all about the points really across the board. And I'm pretty sure some people here noticed that you mentioned Lobb is going to get some big time.
Yeah, there was some talk, man. He was running around through the midfield. preseason before Christmas. It's always fun. We'll talk about kind of making our teams and whatnot in other videos and other streams, but try and start as many guys in your team that you don't think that you will have to trade at some point throughout the season.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. So a lot of us have locked in 5 or 6 forwards. Cool. We think that we're not going to trade them. A lot of us, and going back to Jaden's point, cool, Sheasel. You know that, hey, barring an injury, you're probably not going to trade him. So start as many of those type of players. Otherwise, you're going to be chasing your tail because they're going to have a bad week. Cash Gen's going to be killed. And then, well, now I have to get rid of this guy and everyone else is actually upgrading their teams and I'm sidewaysing. So, yeah, just something to think about there. Don't go too crazy.
Yeah. Tim English, a decent pick at R2. Look, he probably is. I mean, Tim English, he's I hated owning him last year. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I absolutely hated owning him last year because there were times where, quite frankly, he was either disinterested or had checked out. Obviously, there was talk about whether or not he'd get a trade and was asking for big bucks. But even beyond all of that, it just felt like he was not the player that we know him to be. And for him to average 107 for the year despite playing like that just goes to show how annoying he is. I mean, he was a yo-yo. Like 100, 131, 88, 136, 70, 137, 85, 139, 83, 102, 85. Like, this is sort of not what you want to see. You're not paying up big bucks for an absolute yo-yo of 130 plus and then 70 the next week. Like, that's, I don't know. For me, he's not for me personally.
Yeah, he's one that could be considered if you want a bit of a different pod. Obviously, no early buy. There's a lot of questions around a TDK, who potentially is the same situation, a Darcy, who's potentially the same situation as well. The only problem I do have with Tim English is the fact that Darcy does play in his team, and we've seen the last couple of years as he gets better, the effect that it's had on English. They're more than happy to have Darcy ruck and have English roam around and vice versa. And you want to try and pick players who are locked in their positions that don't have competition. Like for 80k more, I'd probably be happy picking up Max Gorn, to be honest. Like drop a Trevelyan down to a 119k and go English to Gorn. Because at least at the moment, that no one is taking Gorn's spot. So barring Gorn being injured, cool. Well, if he's injured, you've still got, 650k to play with in terms of grab the best second best one. So, yeah, too many question marks, which is never good.
Yeah, it's true. At flex could be beneficial, but at the same time, I don't know. He used to be reliable the year before when he broke out, but in reality, he's only had 1 year of breaking out. You know what I mean? Like of good scoring in his entire career. Yes, it's taken him a while to fill out and to build into the role at the Western Bulldogs, but maybe that 128 average year was an anomaly but in reality, he's more of a 105 to 107 type player. The new rules obviously haven't helped him as well in relation to the physicality that you can now actually sort of push off your direct opponent, and he's not a big guy. He does his work around the ground. So that new rule obviously is staying in the game, which could mean that he's going to continue to struggle in the ruck. So he's a no for me personally. Oh, there you go. And you mentioned that as well. New ruck rule that killed him. Exactly. So you can touch Gord, Joe. You can touch him. Mate, I need to get his consent first before I touch him, mate. Like I can't just, sorry, Globe's told me I can touch you, man. That's not quite how that works.
Yeah. You can come over and touch my Gorn anyway, anytime, Joe.
Oh, you're Gorn. Right.
Yeah, I've got Gorn here.
That's right. You do. You do.
At the moment. Maybe you go chuck him in.
Oh my goodness.
There you go. Big Maxi hanging out.
Cripps and Coleman or Chera and Roberts?
Can I say neither?
Can you say Chera and Coleman? How about that one?
Cripps and Roberts. Nah. Like, I think Carlton's still going to do well this year, but I'm not too keen on them. So if you can pick someone else instead of Cripps, cool. I think that might be better for you.
Yeah, look, I don't mind the Chera pick. Chera, I think, provides value at that price point.
If it works out.
Yeah, if it works out. I mean, he went to Qatar for it to work out. He's under 450k, I'm pretty sure. So, for under 450k, if he can give you 105 for 450, what's that priced at 450?
He's priced at like 85.
Well, there you go. So if it's priced at 85 and he scores you 105, that's 20 points.
Yeah, but it's only 100k, so it's probably not keeper for the year. I think. At his price, you're probably just going to pick Oliver, right? So you're looking for a number 2 at that price, and
of course,
and he's competing now with an Ashcroft, who's similar price again.
Yeah, but Ashcroft has an early buy, whereas Chera doesn't. So that means that the points that Chera has to score to match Ashcroft is less because of the fact that he plays an extra game on Ashcroft. So I can see why people, and then obviously, you've got some injury concerns, and Walsh, his body can be hit or miss. He's already done a hammy. Soft tissue injuries in preseason can be very easily relived. Unfortunately, of course, we're not praying this on Walsh. It's just the fact that if you cop a soft tissue injury, you're likely to get it again. So hopefully that doesn't happen for him, because he's a great player, and a fit and firing Walsh is a sight to behold. But Chera, could fill in that role, and he had an interrupted season last year and had around 50% CBA. So a fully fit Chera maybe has more, maybe has 55, 57, and give you 100k worth of money plus scoring. So I don't mind Chera as a selection. Roberts, we've heard Cox obviously speak positively about him, but we haven't actually seen it. And the Swans did make a grand final last year, so clearly they are a very good team with a lot of very good players. So it's not. I don't think it's just an automatic given that Roberts is given the keys to the city in that back line and is distributing, left, right, and center. I feel like Kitty and Coleman is more likely to slot back into that halfback role with more certainty than Roberts. Plus, he's cheaper, which means that he doesn't have to score as much to make you that money. So
yeah,
that's my reasoning.
Yeah, you can spend 30k more and just get Colby McKercher. So make Big J happy if you want to do that. There's just a lot of question marks about all of them. Like Cripps is obviously the most of a locked in player from that list, but you could probably do better with the money.
So you think running with Coleman, Mills, and Smith would be a bad combination? I don't think it would be a bad combination because Smith's in the forward line. So for me, I don't think that's a problem. Like if you're running Coleman and Mills, I think that limits. You then have to really pay attention to who you have on the bench, like a Bice, for example. 113k from the Swans seems to be doing really well. Whether or not, of course, he gets the gig or not, in the fullness of time, we'll be able to tell. But it means that you can't select. You really need to be careful with who you have on the bench as coverage in that week. And there are a few teams out that week, 4 teams out in that week. So you got to be careful about who you have on the bench. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying be careful.
Yeah, definitely. Just a lot of stuff to consider with the early buys and whatnot as well. You don't want to be the guy that's got, yes, there is coverage with defenders and whatnot, but you don't want to be the guy that's got $1 million out from your team, even though it is best 18. Like your rookies on the bench need to be top notch at that point. So yeah, we'll see.
Exactly. Roberts just depends on where Mills plays. Yeah, and even with Mills, like he's the captain, he is the responsible one. And he's the one who could very easily have a role change depending on the needs of the team. So he might start on the ball in round 0 and be a wonderful midfielder. But maybe Cox then identifies that there are shortcomings elsewhere, like the defensive wing, for example, needs bolstering because it's too offensive. You could very easily see a situation where Mills is called upon as the captain to do the team thing, sacrifice his game, and fill in the holes. I mean, we saw that with Dawson last year.
Yeah,
So
definitely gonna happen.
It's that's the issue. Mills as an on-baller, Mills is a wonderful player. Wonderful player. And the thing is, he may be too talented for his own good. That he can play a number of positions outside of the midfield. Like, he could be too good in that respect that it calls on him to take away from his game. When he's playing on the ball with plenty of CBAs, I mean, it's almost over 100 every single week, basically, with bulk CBAs. And then as the season goes on, and it has to play behind the ball, it drops. It just drops. So if it's on ball Mills, excellent value. If it's defensively minded Mills playing a half back or on a wing, then probably not.
Yeah. You just got to worry about new coach and where they want to play them. Which kind of sucks.
Thinking Mills will get the Dawson treatment. Well, that's I'm not.
It's happened. It's happened every time that he's played, and that's the only concern that we've had is,
yeah.
The thing with AFL and footballers is your biggest weakness, at least in Supercoach picking wise, is the fact that you are versatile and you can play other positions. Like,
yeah.
Cool, this guy's a swing man. Yeah, that means 1 week he has to go play key defender, and then the next week he goes play for like Sicily, right? Mills is the same problem with Sicily, is that, they're getting beaten in the forward line. Sicily goes forward and his scoring drops off. Maybe he kicks a goal or does something. I think that's the same issue with this kind of player too. 350k is a lot different than 500. So
correct.
You're taking the risk where you get the reward.
Exactly. Now, obviously, we've never seen Dean Cox coach either. So we've got no read on what his coaching style is. It's just, so we're not saying this is definitely going to happen. We're just saying keep that possibility in mind as a possible understanding of what might happen, so that you don't get blindsided if it does happen. So if you're going to go down that route, sort of think about what are your follow-up plays. What are your options if you have to pivot away? Because obviously we don't want him to get the Dawson treatment, but if he does, keep in mind, all right, if that happens, I'll do X, Y, and Z. So that way you're not running around like a headless chicken. G'day, Aaron. How's it going, man?
What's up, yeah?
Chase has a question for you, Jez. Would you be okay with letting LDU walk, considering all the names you can have run through the midfield? Kirch, Powell, Wardlaw, Simpkin, Shees, O'Sullivan. Sure, I'm missing some.
No. That's a no. I'm more than happy to keep LDU. If the beautiful thing is, if for some reason he does leave, cool. Well, hopefully we're going to get a couple of first rounders or someone's going to trade us, that kind of thing. Okay. It happens, right? We're probably going to get a pretty early pick as compensation for him. But I think just the way that the team works at the moment, they all seem to play a different role. And I don't think outside of LDU, we've really got a burst stoppage midfielder. So he definitely plays a role there. It would be like, cool, Brisbane, you've got so many good players, but Dunkley or a Lockie Neal, well, you can afford to get rid of one, probably, but you do lose a few strings to your bow compared to what you have normally in AFL. So, yeah, I'm more than happy to keep him. If he leaves, but from all reports so far, he won't be. We just need to start the season doing quite well. So we'll see what happens with that.
I mean, Powell, serviceable. Simpkin, serviceable. Foss,
you got
Parker
and stuff too, but they're a bit older.
Yeah. Foss, more of an outside player for now. So when it comes to your gun inside mid bursting out of the pack, you obviously got Wardlaw there. That's not McKercher, and it's probably not Sheasel either. I think Sheasel's that first receiver type midfielder. So you really need an LDU type, and the LDU types don't grow on trees. You've obviously put a lot of years developing the guy. He's entering the prime of his career, one of the bona fide, I think, budding young stars in the comp. And you don't want to be seeing him walk away just as him and the team are both hitting their straps. That is just the biggest gut punch you could possibly have. And I think him inside the four walls of the club should see that there's definitely a turning of the corner. The team will definitely not be as good or develop as much next year if he was to leave. It would be that would be very bad.
It would be like Freo at the moment saying, cool, well, Sarong or Brayshaw, you've got a lot of mids, so cool. One of those guys can leave. I think they're all kind of play different situations, and well, there you go. There's a lot of Hawks supporter and a lot of St Kilda supporters saying the same things as well. But yeah, the reason why we got Finn O'Sullivan more and more, I'm looking at it as Taron Thomas has left, so we have to fill his kind of role and his need. I think it's going to be harder. Like, we're going to be getting a first round pick, and we're basically going to getting another LDU type with his, if we can. Throw Luke Urquhart in that list too, because I think he's going to play a lot of mid this year, if he can break in.
B. James, don't do this to us. I'm not even going to read that.
Look, there's potential for everyone, especially when players leave. If they focus on Nick Larkey a lot, maybe Darling goes back and has a 50-goal season. Like, it could happen. We saw that similar happening with Tex Walker a couple of years ago when he was, 240 or 270K and then went bang. But I think there's just better players. I mean, in your forward line, I think there's just better selections. Guys that are going to be playing majority mid and aren't key forwards. So, yeah, a little bit different. I will say, though, Joe, depending on, like, it's hard to reference his scoring in previous years because recently at West Coast, he's been having to play that kind of third tall negating type role. Whereas now, like Oscar Allen, BJ Williams, a couple of others, like taking the number one spots, he's going to be second key forward. So, yeah, bit of a difference there.
No worries. G'day, Shaz. Yes.
Not saying pick him.
Yeah. Yes, Nick Newman is out. That's unfortunate. Lethal's asking if Ollie Hollands is a watch in the preseason now. Look, you should be watching everyone. But massive shout out to the Squadfather. Abs he actually did a video as well, talking about the potential replacements for Newman now that he's out. And he raised a good point that Ollie Hollands was already in the news in relation to him playing that new role of halfback. So he already had that role before Newman went out of the side with injury. So it's not necessarily him who's going to be earmarked for Newman's role because he was going to be playing alongside Newman. So who's the one that is actually going to benefit the most from halfback? Is it potentially a Doherty type who could do it? Or is it Ollie Hollands that's just going to be given more responsibility as opposed to sharing the responsibility? It's definitely one to keep an eye on out for sure. I don't think I have anything open in relation to Carlton at the moment. So
no, I think the beautiful thing with Carlton as well is that they've got a few players who can play a similar type role. If we're just looking at halfback, cool. Does Doherty move back there? There's a few other players come in. If we're looking at mid, same thing as well. So it's not like Newman has cemented this role for years and now someone's trying to find it. From my assumption is, and how I kind of view Carlton, Newman kind of pushed in himself into this kind of position as well. So last year he moved around a bit. Cool, they found him as a halfback mid type position. So If I'm mistaken, let me know. But that's kind of where I view him at the moment.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll keep an eye out. It could end up being it could be Hollands, but the problem with Hollands is that he's playing in our midfield.
Yeah.
And that takes a crucial spot from the midfield. Charles, JJ, I noticed you didn't review your favorite Rowan Marshmallow.
There you go. Rowan Marshmallow, Joe. What happened?
Mate, he can get in the bin. Get in the bin.
He might not even play main ruck.
Exactly. Even Ross Lyon doesn't rate Rowan Marshmallow. He's only playing him as a forward, Charles. Caleb Wynn's going to be D1, mate. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Is Van Cam's returning this year?
Potentially.
We'll see.
We'll see. Potentially.
North will be pushing for finals in 2026. Yeah, I agree with that.
I hope so. I hope we have a similar trajectory like a Hawthorn did. They've definitely shown that it can be done even without Barras and Battle coming into the team. But there just needs to be buy-in. It's buy-in and effort and players playing their position. Kind of random position guys like RJH, Riley Hanson Jr. So we'll see. We'll see. But I hope so. At least pushing for like top 12. And then top 12 turns into top 8 pretty easy.
Yeah. Look, Rowan Marshall, I think, is going to get less CBAs with the acquisition of Boyd. Play more as a forward, help out with King in the forward line. So, he should get less CBAs. And with less CBAs, I think means less scoring. I can see Rowan Marshmallow averaging 98 points this year. I can see him missing out on the 100 average if he's playing more forward. Maybe if it's a good year for St Kilda, I think they're a good team actually, and hits the scoreboard a bit more. Yeah, I think he can probably average 100. But that's not good enough for our ruck line. So that's a no for me personally.
Yeah. A lot of things will have to change. Like no Gore, no Darcy, no TDK. Like everyone has to fail for me to even be able to select him. So yeah.
Oh, been checking the WA police booking stats and it seems there were no outstanding Eagles before, mate. The Eagles, they're not on all the time, right? They're not on all the time. They'll be fine. Yeah. All right, keep scrolling on. We've read some of these comments before. Uncle Akka, who will win more games this year, Kangaroos or Bombers? Look, I reckon we will. But probably by no more than 2 games. Like I think the Kangaroos are going to improve this year a lot more than we are, based on their acquisitions and more development. I honestly think Parker being added to the side is massive. So big, keeping the forward structure. And then you've got someone, and then you've actually got a good ball users in McKercher and Daniel using the ball off half back, as opposed to that absolute fraudulent footballer Fisher, who belongs nowhere near the half back line.
Yeah, no, definitely true. Just everything has to come together. I don't know if you're quickly checking out Twitter at the moment, Joe, but there's a little bit of a rumor going around that Harry Mackay shoulder, but we'll see what happens.
Harry Mackay or Ben? Which one?
Harry Mackay shoulder.
So that's not us.
No, that's not you. But they've just dealt with Nick Newman, and now they've got Mackay. So we'll see what happens.
They need to recruit tougher people, I think. At the Carlton Blues. Trav, g'day Trav. Zorko disrespect is criminal. Yep. Easy top 5 defender.
Yeah, he's got to keep it up though. At some point, Zorko just doesn't work, and he's too expensive in Supercoach to pick him anyway, early buy, whatnot. But look, it could definitely happen. The guy just keeps popping out these massive scores every year. You wonder though, does Kadeem Coleman not playing affect like his scoring from last year? So we'll see. But he's definitely had a fantastic career, and good on you, Zorko, for being so relevant in Supercoach, really.
How old is Dane Zorko?
Like 36.
Dane Zorko. 35. He will be 36 on the 9th of February. 36-year-olds, in my limited time on this earth, right? I don't have the most experience, but I'm not used to seeing 35-year-olds.
You don't have much experience of being a 36-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. Entering into their 36th year of life, backing up a career best year, coming off of a premiership, whilst also having incredible young talent in Kadeen Coleman coming into the side as well. So I just feel like Dane Zorko could retire any day now. Like, he has achieved what so many players can only dream of achieving. There are so many incredible players that have graced this game that have not had the privilege of winning a flag. He has, and he is old. Football parlay, he is old, right? 35 turning 36. Plus, he's had a history of soft tissue injuries. This year, in 2024 that went by, well done. Congratulations, you got through. 26 years old, 36 years old. It's unlikely that it's going to happen again. Is it criminal of me to disrespect that? No, he's had a wonderful career and we're praising him for his career. But early buy and the age and the lack of preseason, I just can't see it. Personally, I just can't. I'm more likely to spend my money elsewhere.
Yeah.
Ooh, J-Bags!
What's up, J-Bags? Thank you very much. Thoughts on Sam Flanders as a D1 option, topping up between him and Sheasel? Currently have Holmes as my D2. I don't mind your D2. A lot of people, I think, might have him as a D3 at that price. But Flanders over Sheasel, 100%. I'm picking Flanders. Even just for the point of not having the early buy. I mean, you're losing out on 100-plus points. There's a lot more questions at the moment on where Sam Flanders is going to play with a few other players coming back. So, yeah, and positional changes and guys like Noble and Rioli, once he comes back from his knee, do they affect Flanders, blah, blah, blah. Sheasel's only 20, so both are fairly young, but I think Sheasel's a better pick. You can have both, but I think if you're choosing between one or the other, Sheasel's the better pick.
Yeah, Holmes is good. I think the biggest thing with Holmes, he does catch the eye, and I do remember watching him pretty closely last year because I was thinking of picking him as a selection. But one thing that really jumped out at me is how shit of a kick he is. Like, it just feels like he does so much right, so dynamic, gets the ball in his hands, and then tries to hit up a lead and misses him by like 3 meters. I don't know what it is. Maybe him not quite used to the role of getting increased CBAs or whatnot, or working higher up the ground, but it just seems to me that his disposal really lets him down. And if you're an outside player, you really need to be able to hit your targets. Otherwise, you're not getting full points. And he is pretty injury prone himself, especially with the soft tissues. So again, if you want to pick him, you should start him as opposed to trading him in. I think if you decide not to pick him, especially also with the early buy, that's another one. That's another one that has the early buy. You know, if you're going Holmes, if you're going Mills,
now you've got Bailey Smith plus Holmes in your team.
Exactly, like Bailey Smith. There's a bunch of these players in Kadeen Coleman. There's a bunch of these guys who share the same buy. Be careful. Be careful with how many early buy players you pick, because there's nothing they're gonna miss a game. They're gonna miss a game. They're gonna give you one less game worth of scoring, and you don't want too many of them in the same round, because that really will hurt your score that week. And you're gonna have to do everything right afterwards to make up lost ranks.
Yeah, definitely. I think something to jump on there as well is Holmes kind of felt like a little bit only Sam Walsh last year, where he would get 60 to 70 points at half time, and you think, wow, I'm on for a banger. And then he comes out and finishes the game on 90. And that might just be cool. Well, is bad kicking or something else, or positional movement, things like that as well. I have a feeling from memory, maybe you can, like, the time on ground's not the greatest either. Like, you'd want him to be 80, 85. Potentially that's just because of the way that he plays being so bursting. He has to spend more time on the bench.
Yep.
I do feel like a little bit, though, Geelong's trying to figure out where everyone plays, and that what did happen quite a lot. So he's going to be a good player, but he might be a frustrating one to own. And I don't think we want to start those type of players, because then you start thinking, oh, Holmes has had a bad week. He's scored me an 80 or a 90. This other player at a similar price is scoring hundreds. Now I have to swap. And you prefer not to have too many of those in your starting team if you can avoid it.
Exactly. Hey, Woody, how's it going? Holmes only has a 62% kicking efficiency. Handball is 78, but he kicks at 61%. And that's not good. That's just not good enough. Love how we talk about Harry Boyd taking over from Marshall when Campbell was on the Sands list for so long and never played. Marshall will be chopped out by Caminiti, Owens, and Sharman, in my opinion.
Yeah, potentially, but that's not how they're training at the moment. And you have to kind of go off how training works. I think what hurt them a little bit last year was not having a good second, because Marshall's really good across the ground, and you would find sometimes that, you know, you're missing out on his forward craft by not having someone there to cover. So, yeah.
Exactly. And he was dominating the Sandful as well. 26-year-old. I mean, you don't really pick up someone that old, 26, when ready-made, to not play him. It just seems a bit bizarre to me if that was the case. Velo, Brayshaw, and George Hewitt, or Young and Rosie.
I would go Young and Rosie. I think the Young and Rosie has a lot less potential for you having to trade both of them or trade one of them. I think Hewitt's the worst player out of the one chosen there, and I think if you can avoid not having to have a player that you think you're going to have to trade out, Young and Rosie, good buy as well, or at least no early buy. So, I do quite like Young and Rosie, and I think Rosie's very underpriced for what you can get. I think every year the guy's been 600K plus, and this is the first time we can get him at 520. And Young, as Joe said before, there's a lot of people saying he's going to get better and better and better, and we saw some of the massive scores that he's had. So, I quite like Young and Rosie better.
If you want a cheap Carlton midfielder, I'd go with Chera over Hewitt personally.
I'll just pick Oliver.
But I think Oliver's a given for him. Nathan Dawson to be my weapon this year. Cheap as well for a guy that can average 120 plus. Was carrying injury last year, so he's massive value now. Fit.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. There's some talk about. The only problem is with Dawson is the same thing that we spoke about Mills, right? Not many people have him. Well, there's two things. So not many people have him at the moment. There's a lot of movement around that Adelaide midfield as well. Similar to North Melbourne, they've got quite a few players who can play through there and who they want to play through there. Does Peatling in the team affect him? And then similar to Mills, like, he's Mr. Fix-It. He can play high half forward. He can play wing. He can definitely play half back, take kick-ins and whatnot. So, it makes it really tough. It makes it really tough to pick him. You don't want to be that guy that's got Jordan Dawson and he goes big and then the next week he's not. And I feel like that's it, being the captain, he'll take on that type of role as long as they win. So it's a little bit, you want selfish players in Supercoach, really.
Yeah. Look, if Dawson's role is midfielder floating back to be an extra intercept defender, lock him in, I think. Yes, value, fitness, late buy as well. I think there's a lot of things going his way, but it just needs to have the right role. And Nix is a dumbass, with all due respect. I just feel like he's not a great coach. So really hope Nix does right by the captain and has him actually playing in the midfield for most of the times. Let's see. I mean, Laird's in defense, but Peatling has come in. So Peatling has probably taken the time that Laird would have had. So that's not increased midfield minutes for him. Top teams on ball unit: Dawson, Crouch, Rankin, Peatling, Saligo, Riley O'Brien. There's quite a few. So there's Dawson, there's Crouch, there's Rankin, there's Peatling, Saligo. Is Curtin going to get time? Is Draper going to get time?
I've
There's
heard
a few people.
Rochelle might be playing through there as well, and a few others. So yeah,
a lot of chefs in the kitchen. And he's
got Sam Berry, the goat, Sam Berry, the one that told me not to pick the Percher, and I had to deal with that for the whole of last year. It was bloody annoying.
And I owned him last year to start the year, and it hurt because he was fighting the ball, but he was just butchering it. I mean, he had the ball. He had 84% CBAs, but at 58% efficiency. The following week, 62% efficiency. Scored a 96. And then a 68. Like, it was too brutal of a start. Am I traumatized? Look, I'm not, all right? But I can't trust Nix as far as I can throw him. It's Nix. It's not Dawson. It's Nix. Yeah. That's the problem for me.
Yeah, the talent's unquestionable.
Oh, the talent's unquestionable. Absolutely. One of the best players in the comp moves across and immediately becomes their captain. Like, why the hell not? Like, that's very rare to see. Very rare to see. One legit primo out of the projected top 8 also doesn't have the early buy in the defender line. Yeah, a lot of early buy.
Harry Sheasel.
Oh, Sinclair.
Yeah, that's true too. Sinclair's not a bad pick. I just worry that Sinclair's a little bit overpriced for what you're going to get. But a lot of people have said lock him in. Similar to a Lockie Whitfield as well. There's a lot of people saying, hey, chuck him in your team, set and forget. It was fun when opposition players didn't have him or other teams didn't have him. So potentially he's one that you can have in the early buy and just say, cool. But he would be like the only one.
Yeah, Whitfield's picture is so good.
Plus they've just lost like 2 other players now.
Exactly. So it's all going to be a run through him. He's going to kill it. Legend Sir Dunkley has been in my team since Team Picker opened up.
Cool.
Mate, why not? Sir Dunkley is a very good player. One of the best two-way players in the comp. This guy, what he does at stoppage, I don't think I've ever seen it before from a player. Like, he is so switched on in stoppages. He is defending against 2 or 3 players at the same time. It's not just a one-on-one, this guy's my assignment. No, he is just so situationally aware of how stoppages are set up. He's actually defending against 2 or 3 at the same time. He is a beast. I love Josh Dunkley. Early buy sucks, though. And I'm always... You guys should know by now, these guys are human beings, right? Like you and I. They're not just numbers. They're not a machine that will just spit out a range of numbers based within their programming. They're coming off a premiership win, right? They're coming off the greatest success that you can come off in football. So they're later pre-seasons, more celebrations. How do you follow it up? Yes, Josh Dunkley, ultimate professional. I get that. But you don't have that hunger as much the next year after you've won, after you've achieved it. You know what I mean? The psychology, is it there? Am I being harsh on him? I'm not saying it's not. For me, for my money, I just want to be really confident I know what I'm going to get. That's just for me.
Yeah, and that's just where it comes into starting picks too. The least amount of risk you can start, the better it is for you. Because you want to be that guy that's got 10 trades left after round, after the bye rounds, when everyone else has got 2 or 3 and has to really care about where they're changing players around. Yep.
Henry V, the big star. Do you guys think Kennedy requested a trade because of his role? I'm also leaning towards him leaving because of how he was treated in finals. I'm guessing
You
he'll
know
just
who,
be a fill-in for the dwarf.
Joe? You know who I saw on Sunday?
No. Who did you see on
Matt
Sunday?
Kennedy. I saw
Really?
Matt Kennedy in the flesh. Yep. Matt Kennedy was getting coffee with his family. I was there. It was exciting. I'm like, oh, that's Matt Kennedy. I think for Kennedy,
Him? This guy?
Yep. He looks exactly like his picture. So, that's something there. I think for his level of player, let's call Kennedy like a B plus or a B level player, right? I think with his level of player, when you start getting to the age that he is, late 20s, whatnot, certainty of playing is definitely a big thing. Last year was the first year where he really played an entire season due to injuries or whatnot. But with Carlton wanting to get better, I think that he kind of got dicked around a little bit last year. And I think if the Dogs had said to him, cool, we're going to be able to play you for as much as we want to play you, you're going to have a set role, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. Similar to a Zach Fisher a little bit with North Melbourne. Like, you go to the club, especially if they're offering you a little bit more. And his level type of player as well, they're not going to be offered much money at their club. So, cool, I'll go somewhere else. In Supercoach, I don't think he's going to be much of an option, but it's kind of these type of players, the role players, whatnot, they move for particular reasons.
If he was cheaper, like considerably cheaper,
yeah.
I would consider it. But at 414,000, like,
well, you just take Peatling. Like,
it's but the thing is, he does have forward eligibility, but $414,000 is a lot of money. Like, for someone I don't think will outscore Daniel Curtin by a lot.
Yeah.
Who's also playing mid forward.
Or Jada Smith or anyone else.
Yeah, or Bailey Smith, yeah. But I'm just saying, like, Matthew Kennedy's scoring, I think, will be comparable to Daniel Curtin's scoring, who you can get at 158,000. So as opposed to over 400, about 415,000. So, yeah, he's a no for me personally. Sullivan in the chat, 14 keepers, McRae, Pooh, Smith, Daniel included.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you're selecting McRae to be a keeper in the forward. Pillapoo, yes. Bailey Smith, Daniel, Clary, and Rookie Roulette. Here we go.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I think that's going to be the way to go. It seemed to be the format that people did quite well last year, and I can feel like a few people may potentially in the back line might jump off a Bontempelli to kind of save a bit of money, maybe a downgrade to a Petrarca type, gets you some extra cash. But see what happens. 14 keepers is probably the set and forget. Especially because the first few rounds now are best 18. They're so consolidated. If you can get 14 keepers that you think are all going to score close to 100 or above, that don't have an early buy, which is still easy enough to do without Smith in the team, you're almost onto a winner there, Joe. You only need 4 of your other rookies to go bang, and you're doing quite well. You want 2K plus if you can during the buy rounds. So to have some really good plays in there works out quite well.
Yep.
If you've got 11 or 12, you've probably got too many super expensive guys, and it can hurt if you don't have the right ones.
Would you guys drop Mills for SDK if he snags the starting rock spot? Could be tasty.
Yeah, maybe Joe can pull up SDK's scoring when he's not there. But there is potential for a Joel Frieger as well to do quite well at a similar price as Mills that doesn't have an early buy. So he's definitely one to consider. I think solo rucks or close to solo rucks, similar to being able to pick midfielders in any position, I think Ruck is definitely one of those ones. His scoring's just not huge. But as Joe likes to say, like currently if that's 95, then he's valued at 500K. So cool. You've got him there at 500K then. Which
67.
He's only 3 350 or something. So
362,
there's value in the pick. There's value in the pick, but early buy as well. So kind of hurts.
And I can't see him being the number one ruck for a substantial period of time. They had him there, and look, he was sort of getting killed in the ruck, to be honest. So, especially against Carlton, I thought it was a pretty brutal matchup against his brother, who obviously is. Yeah, exactly. So, again, can you trust Chris? Can you trust Chris Scott? You can't. I don't think it's against that guy. Even if he's the ruck, I think Big Subs would still be helping him a lot. I would think so as well.
Yeah. And they'd always have that consideration in their head. Yeah, Toby Conway. From what I'm hearing from some people, Geelong aren't as happy with him or don't think he's ready to go. And, an established ruckman's probably the only thing that's really been keeping Geelong out of the running for a very, very long time.
Oh, Jakey Sharp.
What's up, Jake Sharp?
Thanks, mate. How you doing? Coleman D5 or Peatling M5?
Peatling 100%. 100%. The only reason why you would pick... No, I think the Peatling pick is better. I think we're going to have more than likely 4 or 5 pretty decent defender rookies. So you can have, your rookie start at D5. You can run 2 on field and then have 2 on the bench and be quite happy. You could run a midfield. Something I've been playing around with at the moment has been a Bont, Butters, Sarong, Oliver at number 4, and then Peatling at M5. So something like that could work as well. I think Peatling's a much better pick. I would do him instead.
Let's just say in games where he's had 60% CBAs and above,
player. He's on 900K. Yeah.
Obviously it's only 7 games, but we've seen it. If for 7 games, obviously left the Giants for more opportunity. He's been training in the midfield, and with the A team, again, we've said before that the A team, whether your A team or B team is not the be all and end all when it comes to the training, but he's been training in the right places with the right people, good footage. He mowed down Dawson in the preseason, if you saw that video before. So he's been looking good, and he's just should slot right into that midfield. Laird's been moved out onto the half-back line. They recruited him for a reason, and they're paying him big bucks for it as well. So I think, and he doesn't have the early buy. Coleman does. He's got a very good buy. I would like you to somehow fit Coleman into your team. Obviously, when we do rate teams, would be great. But I think Peatling probably one of the more secure mid prices. I think.
I think so as well. And one of the ones that I think outside of the guys in the forward line who generally, if they're 500K towards the end of the season, like they're happy, has the potential to go into that real keeper status compared to a few other people.
Colonel Sanders. Oh no,
too expensive.
Not Paul Riley Sanders.
He's too expensive.
Can you trust Bevo? Really?
No.
The way he treated this poor young man in his first season. This guy is already playing for Tasmania. Don't think about him. Just get ready to buy him. Just get ready to start him for super cheap when he plays for Tassie. He will be a wonderful starting selection in our Supercoach sides at that point. I reckon he is Gornskis. Gorn Mad. Hi, guys. If you had the choice of Rivers, Salem, or Short in the backline, who would you pick? If I really had to pick one of those 3, I'd go with Rivers. Because Rivers is only going to get more midfield time. Obviously, was getting midfield time already, was implemented into that role for the first time last year. Got 30% CBAs, started to see an uptick in his points. I mean, in the time where he had bulk CBAs last year, averaged 92.4. First time playing the role as well. So that's really promising. Petrarca, is he going to come back and play in the midfield. I personally think that they will not risk him. Even when he's up and running again, I think they'd be crazy to send Petrarca, who's suffered from cracked ribs again. You put him into the contest at the centre bounce? Surely not. You'd play him more on the outside or as a high half forward type player. Rivers is the man. Rivers is going to stay in there. He's really integrated as part of that midfield mix. I think Rivers, plus he got DPP, which is pretty handy. I reckon Rivers definitely presents value. I mean, what's his price at? He's priced at 85. He can push 100 easy, I think.
Yeah. I personally, I'm going to be like biased here, but spend 20k more and get McKercher. Like, I think he's better. I think he's better. Or go a little bit cheaper and grab guys like a Humphreys or a Logan Evans. I think price for potential are a little bit better with those players, but we'll see in the buy rounds. I think the only problem is short. Richmond has early buy, yeah?
Richmond?
No, or maybe not. Maybe that was last year.
Let me just open this
maybe
up.
I'm mistaken. But yeah, I Rivers is the best one, but spend a little bit more and get a better player.
Wait, I literally just downloaded an image which had the buys. 2 seconds. Let me just pull it up so people can see it. Nice and easy, but for some reason it's not here. Where the fish did it go? I literally just downloaded before as we were talking about the buys. I have been dudded.
No good.
Oh, here's a. I guess this is one that we referred to before. Let me just put it across here. So this is the buyers that we was talking about before. The buyers that we like.
I'm mistaken. No early buy for Richmond. Sorry, my mistake, fellas.
So the players, so the teams that we really like to see, St Kilda and Fremantle, because they only have one buy and it's shared with only one team, which is the best of the lot. Melbourne is in the next rung, having only the one buy, but they share it with 3 teams. So, and the good thing about the Melbourne buy as well is if we look at Melbourne's buy, they have it among the later ones. So you're getting a lot of continuous play from them before they finally have a break, and they share it with Adelaide, who you wouldn't have too many premiums from Adelaide, I don't think, in your team. West Coast, I don't think you'd have many premiums from that side either. And then, of course, there's also Hawthorn. You might have a Will Day. You might have a Sicily, or maybe even a Newcomb, perhaps. But those are the only 3 really that you're thinking of as well. So Melbourne does have a pretty good buy round if you're looking to load up on players from that buy.
I think as well, just noticing it now, I think from memory last year, they didn't really do like the early buys very well compared to the later buys. Like Sydney would have round 7 and then round 12. I think this year they've actually been able to play it so every team that has an early buy like has a later buy later on. So everyone has a buy before everyone has a buy again, instead of some teams having 2 buys before everyone else has 1. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Gibcus. Look, I think there are cheaper options in your team that isn't going to play a lockdown.
Let someone else take the risk, really. You know, I was that guy that, well, I mean, everyone was, but I was that guy that had Gibcus first time, round 1. Oh, I've now got to spend a trade on a 150k player. Like, it obviously can happen to anyone, but picking up rookies with injury history, if it works, it works, but it's a no from me. Yeah, I don't even think I've seen Gibcus in any training reports from Richmond, which is probably not a great thing.
No. Just if you can just get through, and that's good enough for them, I think, at this point. I'd have Rioli if I didn't have 2 round 3 defenders. That's the problem. Darcy Parish. Look, his value, he's cheaper than what he can dish out. We always say if you want a player that's injury prone, yes, start them as opposed to trade them in. So he absolutely is that player that is injury prone, that gets injured, It's always a soft tissue. It's always an issue for him. And he's capable of pumping out 110, 115 plus type scores. So you think at that price point where he's currently at, I mean, he's what, 480 odd? Yeah, 481. He's priced at 89. He can easily beat that by 20 points. But is he going to stay fit? Is he going to stay healthy? He hasn't been participating in the latest match sim. He did not. He was away from the group, just working on his body. I think his body will just always let him down. If you want to roll the dice with him and start him, you can, okay? The only reason why you can is that he's got the early buy, and you got to look at him. You got to look at him in round 0. You know the role he's going to play. It's inside mid. You see how he's going. And if he gets to the buy and you want to get rid of him, you can trade him to someone who's coming off of their buy. Like, for example, a Dan Houston, who you'd be confident is a top-of-line defender. He's coming off of his buy. You could possibly trade Parrish to Houston if you don't like it in round 4. So you do have an option there that you can have an out to, I guess.
My problem with Parrish, when you've got guys that are a little bit cheaper, where everyone is a bit of a speculation pick, you're probably only going to pick 1 or 2. Parrish is on the bottom of that list. I'm picking Oliver. I'm picking Ashcroft before Parrish, unfortunately. And yes, he can go back to 600k, but it can also stay the same price, and you don't want that to be in your team. So, because you'd rather just pick Peatling. Yeah.
He does love himself Anzac Day, 100%. I agree. That's pretty funny. Tony, g'day Tony. Guys, have yous made a team with 3 Primo Rucks? I'm currently running Cherry, Darcy, and Marshall or TDK as flex. Have potentially 14 keepers. That's including Mills and Bailey Smith in the 14. The news of Harry Mackay. Go for it. Go.
No. I have been toying around with it, definitely. It's just about figuring out what I want to do, but I haven't been going 2 of the cheaper ones. I've been going Cherry, Max Gawn, and Sean Darcy. So we'll see what happens with that, if I can actually fit it in with the team that I'm happy with. My only issue is that because it's like 1.5 million or more, really, I think it's closer to 1.8. My defense is looking a bit shabby and not in a position that I want it to. So if you can avoid it and figure out something fantastic, I think that's the way to go. 3 ruck position. A lot of people are using flex at the moment for that extra cash cow, and 100%. You can do that if you'd like. I think rucks is one of those unique positions in Super, of course, because there's only 2 of them. But ruck is a unique position in Supercoach where they really do have the potential to go 150 points in a week, just like nothing. Like, they can just go on a tear and dominate. And for you to have 3 of those players in your team could be huge. Could be absolute. Like, you could just smash and score 200 points more than everyone else in Supercoach that week. Obviously, not more than the other people picking 3 as well, but there's a lot of value at 500k. And would you rather have a 500k defender or a forward versus like a ruckman that you know is probably going to be solo ruck? It's just about picking the right ones and making sure they are going to be solo ruck. And at the moment, there's a lot of question marks, like a lot of question marks across the board. Like Meek playing, TDK playing, like there's so many question marks. So 3 rucks, I think, is the way to go if you can fit it in your team. Just might mean you're running 4 primo mids and a Peatling or something like that. But yeah, good thing to play around with, I think, Tony.
Yeah, it's if only Gorn wasn't so expensive, and Cherry wasn't so expensive, and I think you'd love to run all 3 of them.
Yeah.
I do think that it's an idea. I've learned with the idea of running 3 expensive rucks as well, because you want that flex position to really. I mean, with the flex
you
in
want to
there
flex
now,
on your friends. Be like, check out my flex.
Exactly. Like with the flex in now, it means that you have an opportunity every week to knock out one of those lower scores that you've got on the field. So on average, the average score every week is going to be higher than usual. And so, I mean, does it matter if the premium score you have is in your team or in the flex? The only benefit that you can have from having the flex position be a scoring player is that it is an extra ruck as opposed to an extra anything else. Because you've already got 6 defenders on the field, you've got 8 mids on the field. The thing that you can't have for the longest time, you can't have more than 2 is the ruck. And it's because if you can get a number 1 ruck in, they are such a reliable cornerstone of scoring that isn't copping a tag, because you can't tag the ruck. There's nothing you can do to mitigate the scoring of a dominant ruck, because after every goal, you will have a stoppage in the center square. You will always have a ball up every time there's a stop and play. Every time the ball goes out of bounds and there's a throw in, there is a stoppage. You can't take away the scoring ability of the ruck. And so, in my opinion, I think it might actually be appropriate to run the 3-gun primo ruck strategy. And I think that's sort of how I'm starting to tinker my next side that I will be revealing hopefully very soon. I think I am going to run the 3 premium rucks, because that's the type of player that I think is the gold standard of Supercoach scoring that you simply cannot stop. And you want that every single week. You want that reliable top score every single week, knocking out one of your lower ones. How good is it that you can replace one of those lower ones with an extra premium ruck of the Gorns, the Sean Darcys, the Sherrys of the world, the ones that have such high ceilings every single week? I'm actually really excited thinking about it, as you can tell.
Yeah, the beautiful thing is that outside of Gorn and Cherry, the rest of them are fairly appropriately priced. So let's pretend a Darcy, a TDK, whatever, starts going big. You've now got him at 500k, and everyone else is chasing them, like, to get them into the team. So, yeah,
exactly. All right, go on, man. How will Laverty? Laverty is actually played forward line in our latest match sim. Gone mad.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, he's been kicked out of the back line. We don't like his ball use. He's too slow with his decision making, and he is. I was saying this last year. As long as Zach Reed's healthy, Laverty's not playing back there. So obviously Reed slots into that spot, and Laverty playing forward now. The problem I have with picks like Hollands, Peatling, and even Chera types is, yes, they are value, but you are missing out on genuine keepers and taking too many chances / wasting trades. Possibly. Peatling may end up. It depends on what you think is a keeper. If he's going to average you 105, the thing with that is he's giving you good scoring every week, because you're not going to get rookie scoring you 105 average. Plus, he's making you money, and he has a late buy. So the benefits of Peatling is that he's sitting there scoring you points every week, making money, and you can then flip him down the track. And the good thing, again, the late buy means you can trade him. You can trade anyone from, maybe not Richmond, anyone from Gold Coast. If you're seeing Raul or Anderson or Tuke Miller popping off. Flanders, correct. You're seeing someone from Sydney have their second buy. Maybe Mills really is playing full-time mid, and you didn't have a chance to trade him in before. You can trade him in off his buy, or a Goulden. So there's a bunch. That's just from round 14, notwithstanding any of the Fremantle boys, any of the St Kilda boys. If you faded Bontempelli, Bont's come off his buy. Carlton, any of those mids, Port, maybe he didn't have a Rosé, and all of a sudden you're seeing that he's playing full-time mid. So there's a bunch of these players coming off that would have been off their buy that you can trade Peatling to, and it wouldn't be a very expensive trade at that point because it would have made you money.
Yeah, I think as well, I'll bring up Elliot Yeo from last year, right? Like, Elliot Yeo is a bit of a different player. Some people did keep him for an entirety of the time, but there's definite value in saying, cool, for the first 8 weeks or so, or 10 weeks even, at 350k, I'm going to be getting 100 score. And that is worth it a lot. That is a position on field that you don't have to worry about. And if Peatling at 350k starts your season and becomes your last midfielder that you have to offload, 100%. Like, he can sit at that and be your M8 for a majority of the season until your midfield's finished, scoring you 90s to 100s every week. Like, for 350k, that works. Yes, you might be missing out on some things, but you're paying for the guaranteed position as well versus, like, cool, I could get two rookies instead of Peatling, or 3 rookies instead of Peatling and someone else. Like, they can work, but rookies have the capacity to just not do something in weeks. And limiting the amount of that you can have, it's worthwhile.
Yep, for sure. Agree with Joe on his 3 Ruck Primo thoughts. Most putting cash cow in flex, but you can pick 530k Darcy in the flex and put that cash cow in the mids rather than having a 550k, for example, Dawson and cash cow flex.
Yeah, it's where you come down to who you think's undervalued and who you think's underpriced, really. If you think Darcy's really worth 650k, chuck him in your flex. Be like, cool, I made 150k, or I'm going to get there at some point, and this is a guy that's horrendously underscored for what his potential is. So, yeah, I think that's where flex is moving to, because you look at Sean. Hey man, you look at a Sean Darcy, as I said, versus some other 500k players, and you can see kind of the difference.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Charles is congratulating you. There you go, the late kangaroo ladies.
Thank you very much, Charles. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I hope they can go back to back. I think they're one of the few teams that are strong enough that they can do that. I think Brisbane, when they won their first one, I think Brisbane or Adelaide have gone back to back as well, but they've consistently lost good players. North really only lost like fringe people, like Lulu Puller kind of left and some others, but got guns like Sheeran into the team. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting how it kind of fits, but definitely I'm very, very happy.
Yeah, as you should be. That's a very, very wonderful result.
Undefeated.
Undefeated. I really want to start Merritt, though. Matt, look, if you really want to start someone, I think you should start someone if you've done your due diligence on them or you're backing your gut in a little bit, because there's nothing quite worse than not following your gut instinct to select someone. They go on a tear. You knew in your heart of hearts that you should have picked him, but you got scared out of it. Regret's a terrible thing, and life's too short to live with regrets. If you want to pick someone because you really like them and you're pretty convinced by what you see that there's either upside or it's a worthy selection, then go for it. You understand Merritt has an early buy, not a problem if you understand that, but you really like his consistency, 4 or 5 years in a row of 115 average, plus the reports that he's moving behind the ball at times as well. If you want to start him, go for it. Plus, a lot of early games on Thursday nights means that he can be a great VC option as well. So, if you like that and you're putting that all together and you think, I don't care if there is a buy and I don't care if he's $620,000, I want to pick him, then go for it. As long as you've followed the thought process to get to that result and you're still content with it, then go for it.
If Merritt didn't have the early buy, I think he would have been pretty close to a lock in my team. You're paying $620K, but you're getting a $620K worth player. So there isn't a lot of value, but the scoring potential is phenomenal. As Joe says, early buy, whatnot. But you can almost lock him into cool, I'm going to get a 115 every week. And paying up for that is fantastic. That's kind of where his scoring level and whatnot is. I'm even half tempted to do it now. It's just that early buy hurts. And I'm kind of put myself in a position as opposed to last year where I had a lot of early buy primos and I saw how that worked out, to now if I can really avoid having a few of those players and get better selections, it might work out better. And potentially that is well, cool, Bailey Smith's gone and now I'm picking someone like Luke Parker instead. So we'll see what happens, but that's only my mindset. You can go Zach Merritt as like your first upgrade pretty easy too.
Yep. Why did you guys have to... Hey, I wasn't in charge of that Instagram post.
We don't run in charge of that.
Bro, it wasn't me. They put it in the group chat. I didn't agree with it. I made some recommendations about what they can change, and they said, nah, North Melbourne over Essendon, bro. Can you believe that?
I can. You know it's going to happen. Just deal with it and move on.
Look, they're the best rucks. Now, there's even reports that Reeves apparently is rucking incredibly well. So that I immediately thought of our ruck video. Oh crap! Reeves versus Meek is back on again, ladies and gentlemen. And then DeConning news is not great, as Chase mentions. If Mackay news is correct, then and Mackay's shoulder is stuffed up, then that could really mean that DeConning is playing more forward to fill in that void. So DeConning as a forward is no good. If Meek is going to get displaced by Reeves, that is no good. Marshall going to be displaced as R1, that is no good. It really comes down to basically Gawn, Cherry, Darcy, maybe English, potentially English as well. So not too many options of undisputed main rucks. That's about it, really, I think.
Yeah, definitely. The less questions you can have could make a big difference for yourself. You're just overpaying a little bit for some players. So.
Yeah, maybe the flex position. Maybe in the flex position you have someone
Max
like
Gawn flexing
English.
on other people.
Yeah, Max Gawn, or maybe in English. For substantially less, you could have English in the flex, and if he decides to act like a rooster, he's going to score really well, then that's great. And if he decides to act like a donkey and score bad, then that doesn't make it into your best score. So maybe English flex might be what I do, despite the trauma he put me through last year. Maybe I'm just a masochist. I don't know.
Bit of a question for yourself, Joe.
Yes.
I totally forgot. Yeah, sorry, I forgot about it. I had it in my head and then I forgot. it'll come back. It'll come back.
Riley Kennedy, g'day Riley. Jack Martin. Geelong have a tendency of getting older players playing their role in the team. Gary Rowan replacement, but more upside than him.
Yeah, there's a few of these type of players. I mean, Stevens from St Kilda kind of is the only one that hasn't really worked out for them. I just haven't heard much. And that's the only thing. Once January and especially into February starts happening, if you're not hearing a lot about these players, you start to think, hey, maybe they're not the right picks. Early buy, I don't think matters too much, being 150K. But, you know, if Dan Curtin goes big, that's an extra, that's an extra score on field that potentially you don't have. So one to definitely watch. There is potential there. I wouldn't be putting him on field. You can always put him on the bench. There's potential that guys like Elijah Hewitt and a couple of others who we are looking at in our forward lines might not be the greatest selections, just because I haven't heard much about them. So, yeah, there's always capacity for him, plus someone like a Quinton Narkle, for example. Like, they're older players on a good team. Cool. It could work out quite well. I agree, though, that Geelong's very good at making older players better.
Yeah, they make him better. But it's not that the problem with him isn't that he wasn't necessarily playing his role because he was acting out or anything. His biggest problem was his body, letting him down all the time. So, do the Cats somehow fix him and fix that injury concerns? I don't know. Maybe I don't think he went to Qatar. He needs to go to Qatar. There you go. There's your answer. You need to go to Qatar if you want to have any chance of being successful the next year. Or he could go to Mount Kosciuszko with Maltesing. Oh my god!
I know. I saw that, mate. Mount Kosciuszko. Take some photos and you can send us to him on Facebook. Maltesing, bloody hell! Thanks very much for jumping on. Bit of a different. Yeah, there you go.
Wow. Hiked to the summit today, and I had a premonition. You thought of us. You thought of us. You were on top of the world, and you thought of Big J and Joe. No, I'm just joking. I don't know what I was at the end of the season. Oh, are you seriously going to keep me in suspense from January to September? I'd have forgotten by then. Maltesing. Oh my god, that's pretty funny. Holmes. Oh, yep, I saw that. That was bad. I'm thinking at the moment, Gawn and Mills, or Jordan Clark and Shrek. Look, option 2, you've got 2 for sure keepers. Yeah. Option 1 is 1 and a maybe.
Yeah.
So I think option 2.
Yeah, I like option 2. And no early buy as well. I think
correct.
Yeah.
Oh, Murray!
What's up, Murray? How you going? Thank you very much. Oh,
Will Flynn.
So? Yeah, will Flynn get the main ruck gig at West Coast? You'll think so.
You'd hope so.
Think so, Drew?
I mean, he was recruited there for a reason. If he does get it and stays in it, then it could be good. But he did have an injury scare the other day with a foot complaint, got it wrapped up, and then went and continued doing it again. But I don't like rucks with foot injuries because they're not the smallest and lightest of individuals. I know full well that if you're running around a lot, you get a sore foot. So if his foot's already sore in the pre-season, then I don't know if he's going to be able to solo ruck. And he might have BJ Williams take over. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the only. I think that's the only problem with me and him is just I don't think they're going to rush him. So if there's anything coming into round 1 saying, oh, look, I've got a bit of a complaint, things like that, there's no pressure on West Coast to do well this year. So they might just go with the same thing and say, cool, you can go VFL and then do that. And a lot of people have got him at R2 and in the flex at the moment. Might not work out that well for you.
No, it might not. Oh, I'm like $600 off Erasmus in this team. That's unfortunate. All right, we keep going. Good evening, Sim. Good to see you, mate.
What's up, Sim?
Peter Laddams and Aaron Francis were lighting up the track last year for the Swans, and they combined for like 6 games, most of them being injury-related. If Boyd plays trial games, then I'll shift. Okay, yeah. Interesting. I see Nick as the next Bevo. Cannot trust him at all. Absolutely. It's not a good look. Would Harley Reid be a bad mid-price pick?
How much is he?
That's a good question. Let's have a look. Harley Reid. 434K on the mid only.
Your team would have to be not that great to have Harley Reid as a selection. Like if you're considering Harley, fellow, we love you, whatever. If you're selecting Harley Reid outside of draft, you don't have Oliver, you don't have Peatling, you don't have a few others. You're not locking in 600K players. Something's a little bit wrong in your team. That's all I'm going to say.
Damn. We love you, Velo, but you suck. No, I'm just joking. I'm joking. How many
you heard it here, boys.
I love you, but you suck. How many round 3 buy players is too many? Lots of value in those teams.
Yeah,
There are.
yeah, definitely. I think you go first, Joe. Go for it.
Oh, no, I just said there are. I wasn't actually planning on saying anything yet. Go. Just
Okay. I hate cutting you off. I've done it a few times today already. When you have a buy round where there's like 4 or 5 different teams, I think that's better for you as someone selecting players from that buy round because the pool of players who might not be playing is a lot better. I think if you're going to go and pick up a round 2 buy round player or a round 4 buy round player, things are a lot more riskier for yourself because you're the only one that's got a Flanders out. Everyone else has got a full team. You're missing a player. Whereas maybe it's not the right mindset to have, but you're more than happy to pick up a Geelong or a Collingwood or a Sydney or a Brisbane, potentially even have 2 because the popular picks are the ones there. Like I think Kadeem Coleman at the moment is someone like 60 or 70% owned, like more than Caleb Daniel at the moment for Kadeem Coleman. Like it's bonkers. But a lot of people have said, cool, him and Bailey Smith and a couple of others are like really good value picks. But because everyone has them, it doesn't make it as bad. And because there's 4 other teams there, there's potential for a bigger pool of players not playing. It's why I'm not as wary. It is why I'm a bit wary of a Zach Merritt, for example, for some other players. But if Zach Merritt's playing, North Melbourne and then West Coast the first 2 rounds and then has round 4 off, like, cool. You might find himself being an auto include just because he's going to make up his points on the other end. Yeah. It's really good. Just don't pick too many. Don't put yourself in a position where you've only got 19 playing because you've got so many players out. So, yeah.
Why the hell is Kobe McKercher so expensive? That's
because he's
476k for a guy I burnt 25 trades on. It's ridiculous.
It was his first year in the AFL, and he's almost 500k. Like that's
disgusting.
How good the kid is.
It's
so
disgusting.
good.
What do you think of Damien Smith? What do you think of Shea Bolton being DPP worth a pick? We loved Shea Bolton. I think I might have declared him as my boom pick that will outperform his price this year because I just think he has so much that he can offer the Dockers, especially as they continue to rise up the ladder. But from reports, it seems he's spending a lot of time in the forward line, more than I would have liked and more than I would have expected. So I don't think he is now.
Yeah, and that's my only issue is just that forward line time. Like we'll hear about it more and more and more, but it could really hurt compared to some other players. So one to watch 100%, but you don't want to do it too much.
No. Gents, I've heard nothing about the number 1 draft, Sam Laylaw. What do you think? He's a project player.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? There's some talk that he's been doing some tackling in the midfield, whatever. I think even Josh Smiley at the moment is in rehab group, according to Swizz. So, yeah. Hey, Finn O'Sullivan's playing, though. So,
there you go. Finn O'Sullivan. I can't fit Filippo into my team. Wow.
That's okay.
Wow.
That's all right. That's
anti-potting the poo.
That's okay. No worries.
Show starting to look good with all the Carlton injuries. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Ian. That's what I'm saying. Brad, hello.
What's up, Brad? How you doing?
Mate, check out the doodle. Which pod do you like? You don't have the balls to pick right now. Mine's Ed Richards, man. I like Ed Richards.
The pod I don't have the balls to pick right now. I might even go someone like a Luke Parker. I think his potential scoring is phenomenal. He's been around 500k, just level of scoring and around the 100 mark for a while. It's just figuring out where he's going to go in North Melbourne's team, but definitely Luke Parker, I think, for me.
I guess for me, the one I don't have the balls to pick right now, it's probably Bailey Dale. I just I think he's got everything going for him, but he plays for Bevo. And that's just holds him back, I think. If not him, then probably it is Dawson, who I've floated the idea of. And again, I've said it. If he has the role of midfield floating into defense, then I want to lock him in. But I don't know if that's the role because there's so many people running through that midfield at Adelaide. So I guess those would be the two. Bailey Dale because of Bevo and Jordan Dawson because of Knicks. So the coaches suck, is all I'll say. Dunkley's won a premiership before too with the Dogs, so this isn't new to him. That's true, actually. That's true. Dunkley has won a premiership before, so maybe he can, but he was young probably at the time, back then in 2016 with the Doggies.
It was like his first or second year in contract.
Exactly. Like he was young when he first got in. So, people when they're young think, oh, this is easy. This is great. Love football. And then you spend years and years and years toiling away trying to win it. And you've done it with some very mature players like Lachie Neale, for example. It's hard not to feel like you've done it. You've climbed the mountain. And that hunger, that hunger definitely dies down for sure. And I think what drives these players, these two-way runners, is hunger. And as soon as you miss out on a little bit of hunger, you can take away a step or two. And all of a sudden, your game sort of starts to diminish. So, yeah, that's why I'm not a big fan of selecting players coming off a premiership, personally. Xavier O'Halloran. Really?
I've heard some talk about Connor Stone as well. We'll see what happens with him.
Why? What do you see? Uncle Akka? Tell me.
It's a no from me. It's a no.
Why?
I think he plays too much forward. Like, they haven't really lost anyone in the forward line. Like, my understanding was you played... Huh?
That's why I'm asking. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, why?
Tell me why. Tell me why ain't nothing but a forward. Tell me why ain't nothing.
It is very hot in Melbourne at the moment. I'll tell you what.
Tell me why it is so freaking hot. I cannot wait, boys. Tommy, g'day, Tommy. How you doing? Loving the preseason content from you both. Thanks, mate. Thanks for watching. Who's going to be Joe's Gorn regret this year? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know who's going to be my regret this year. I don't know. Anyone worried about round 12 bye? If start with 13 keepers and start your upgrades in round 6. You add 6 more by round 12. But you might have Bont, Cheese, Cherry, Daniel, Butters, Juan Francis. You're back to 13. Need balance.
Yeah, potentially. And that's where I think leaving one or two of these players out of your starting team and out of your kind of working what your team out is definitely something there. Can you pull up your thing again, Joe, with the early buys?
With the buys? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely have to be careful of round 12, man. North, Port, at Carlton and Bulldogs. But that's where at the start, maybe you jump on someone for St Kilda. That's where you might jump on someone from Melbourne. Hey, maybe Clary just before the bye, you can do a quickie upgrade and bring those kind of players in. So, yeah, I think the way that a lot of people do their Supercoach teams is definitely don't start everyone you want to start that is in round 12 and then just leave it. Because then you can upgrade everywhere else after your players in round 12 are there. If there's any that you're missing, you can bring them in the other weeks and they've not got to buy for the next 5 rounds. I think that's definitely a good way to look at it.
Yeah, best 18 definitely is the saving grace there.
Yeah.
Plus, you've got the flex. So you're fielding an extra player almost as well to potentially cover your shortcomings.
Awesome. Yeah. But start all of them in round 12 that you want to start all the ones that are playing in round 12 you want in your team. Leave them, upgrade everywhere else. Guys that you're missing that have the round 12 bye, bring them in after round 12. And then your team's almost done.
Sorry, Velo. Sorry, Velo. I couldn't help myself. All right, just leave me alone. Orange. That's why. Fair enough. We love Isma Orange. Yes, Aiden. Yes.
There you
we'll
go.
have a banger for you, Jensu. Oh yes, Aiden. Love it. Love it. We're gonna have some Stafford Brothers songs again. I've missed them so much. The people have missed it more than my cat scratching shit. Excuse the French. All right, what we got here? Thoughts on starting Luke, Ryan, and Clark?
Problem with Luke Ryan is just his price, really. I need to see a lot more of what his position is going to be. And we spoke about it in our top defenders rankings video, if you guys haven't seen already. After the coach yelled at him, his scoring definitely dropped off. Now, if they want to be more competitive in the back line, they're not going to give him as much ball as what he had at the start of the season. They will be big games, don't get me wrong. But I think there may be better options at around, like if it was 500k, sure. But I think there might be some better options there.
Yes, I agree. I don't like that peroxide bastard anyway.
You love him, Joe.
No, he's a
best player AFL.
Thoughts on Sheasel, Clark, Farrell, Roberts, Travalia, Bo Allen, Starden Holder, and Caleb Smith.
You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Okay, so that's 8. Okay, so Sheasel.
That's his back line.
So Sheasel's good. Clark is good. Farrell is a trap. Roberts, I need to see more. Travalia, yes, I like him. Bo Allen, yes, you need him. Sardal Holder, yes, I like him. And Caleb Smith, yes, I like him.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think there's a whole lot of watch and wait and see. I can tell what you're trying to do with this team. Just pick up a few guys who might have the potential once some of the others drop down in price. But we don't even know if Farrell's going to have the position. I mean, we'll probably talk about it later. But when we did the breakout players in the defense, there was a lot of question marks around a Farrell. And hey, we had enough time last year where we saw Houston not in the team that we know what they can do, and that worked quite well. And it starts with a bigger L Evans. And Farrell really didn't have a huge amount of kickouts. And there's Sin and apparently a few others. It wasn't great. So we'll see. I don't think there seemed to be a lot of content creators that said lock in Farrell at the start of the season. That I think now they may try and take that back if they had a chance. We'll see. That's just our opinion.
No. Oh, by the way, Trav. Where is Zorko? Travis. You can't defend Zorko's honor so hard and then not start him, mate. Come on. You got to do better. Rodney, Noah Anderson, a definite watch despite his bye, building to a breakout year following 5 years in the system for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Just the question mark of Gold Coast's makeup, really. How much time does he get? Things like that. I think he's very lucky that Matt Rowell is his best friend, especially during juniors. But I think he's one of the reasons why they were happy to get rid of Luco. Just someone else there not taking up a lot of money and whatnot. It's that midfield makes up. You would want a lot more 100 scores and a lot of stuff under, getting rid of a lot of stuff under 100. And outside of potentially disposal efficiency, which might not be his game because he's quite quick, being able to kick balls on the run, time on ground's not something he can really increase. CBAs is not something he can really increase. He needs 10% disposal efficiency to get better, and his game plan just might not be able to facilitate that, or he has to wait for the team to get better. So, potentially that's a different thing there. There's not a lot of scope for development, barring just kicking better.
Yeah. Yeah, the time grounds are already mostly good. The CBA is already mostly good.
I don't think he'll be a 40 disposal game player either.
Yeah.
Another one, but yeah.
Keep an eye on. I agree. The only question is where is that scope exactly of improvement? Got Shazel, Naz, and Sicily, 3 primo mids and Peatling, Gorn, Sherry, and DeConning, Bolton, McRae, Pooh, and Daniel, mostly rookies otherwise. I love it how he's named every premium he's got in all of the lines. But the midfield remains a secret. I love it. I love it, Woody. 3 in the back line's good. 3 and Peatling is good. The Conning, keep an eye on. I prefer Bolton personally. Sorry, what did I say Bolton for? I prefer I read the name next to it. I prefer Darcy. Bolton seems to be playing a lot of forward. So if you can get Horn Francis, might be better. I know it seems cookie cutter, but there is benefit to having a blocker in your team, and it's likely that he's going to be either F1 or F2. So locking him in now seems to be pretty easy, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's just a tricky one. Something to watch over the preseason. Like, I think you can lock in McRae, Pooh, and Daniel as must-haves. But even guys like Sicily, like early buy hurts a lot. I haven't really analyzed who has the best like early buy depending on who has the best run pre-buy depending on position. So maybe Sicily has some really good spots, but you don't even know where he's going to play. Like he's going to turn into Mills and going to turn into Dawson, unfortunately. They've got a lot of really good defenders in that team now, and I think there's too many cooks in the kitchen a little bit. Something happens and he just gets thrown forward, and I think he's more than happy to play forward if it means the team's winning.
Man, I've flirted with ideas of teams where I've got it's such a beautiful back line of Shazel, Whitfield, Sicily, Ridley, Mills, and Coleman as my 6, and I've got Sinclair in the midfield because he's got mid eligibility, and I've basically got a finished back line right from the start.
Yeah, it works, man. It definitely works, and you're getting someone that's a little bit cheaper, and there is scope for potential for Sinclair to go up in price as well, which is something that maybe some people haven't considered. So, yeah, I mean, it could work out for you.
I think Track will have a 60-40 mid forward. The Goat Roof to play 80% mid this season. Very nice.
Actually,
I really value having some money spare. So if any of your mid prices struggle, yep, fair enough. Fair enough. Having Peatling say average 90, but you missed out on, let's say, Smiley 200k cheaper goes at 70. Are you missing much?
Well,
you're getting. Well, if he's going at 90, probably not a successful selection. You want him to go more than that, ideally. You want him to go at least 95 to 100. You're getting 25, 30 points plus every single week. The rookies will certainly be scoring. The rookies are cheaper and therefore don't need to score as much for you to make the money. But rookies are unlikely to sustain their scoring over a longer period of time, especially when they're entering the competition for the first time. They are playing against grown men, which they certainly would not have experienced before, and the step up in professionalism and elite lifestyle that you move from being a junior to being an official AFL. This is the highest level of sporting in the country and almost in the world. This is probably one of the toughest sports in the world to play, and you're entering that competition as an 18-year-old. They are unlikely to sustain that scoring for that long of a time between the start of the season and round 15, for example, when it comes to Peatling. And if he's giving you 95 to 100 week in, week out across this entire period of time, it's unlikely that a Smiley, for example, that you've given here will be matching that. Plus, that 70 might not end up being part of your best score week in, week out, thanks to the flex position. So why not just have as many good scorers on field? You're upgrading around him. He's making you those points every single week, which is Primo-esque. It's not uber Primo, but it is Primo scoring. He makes money. You trade him out at the buy, and that's probably the best case scenario.
Yeah, I think as well, having a Peatling scoring, let's say 90 to 95, but even if it's a 90, there's less pressure to have to think about upgrading him, even if he gets to 400, 450k, because of that level of scoring versus a Smiley. Like, rookie roulette and upgrade cycles and whatnot kind of dictate quite a lot. And Peatling scoring 90s is still good enough to hold until his first buy. Whereas I think Smiley scoring 70s, he will get to his scoring potential very quickly, and his price potential very quickly, especially being a little bit more pricier than some others. He's getting closer to 20. Well, he's getting closer to 30, 30s already. So, like, cool. Smiley at let's say 300, 350k. Yeah, you're going to offload him a lot quicker. So, yeah. I think the Peatling's better. But the potential to go over, as we kind of showed earlier, with Peatling, if he's getting some better CBA numbers, which from what we've seen so far, he might be. Yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if Laird is moved half back to his good scoring role because they've said, cool, Peatling's now in that midfield. Like, and if that's the case, boy, oh boy, 350k, you better get on him quick.
Exactly. We'll be wrapping it up, guys, momentarily. Trav also have comment as my flex. Very nice.
Nice.
Cherry, Darcy, and Flynn. The flex looks to be the most popular.
Yeah, it's just
now.
Flex. Watch with Flynn. See what happens, but potentially could happen. Like, I'm more than happy to run.
Yeah, I think I'm.
Yeah,
go for it.
If Flynn is solo Ruck at West Coast or getting majority of Ruck, I'm more than happy to run him at flex. Just the cash gen and like that 100 scoring. Ideally, I don't want him to be a pick, and I can pick someone else. But yeah,
ideally,
yeah, well, of course,
yeah, of course. In an ideal world, I don't know. For me, I'm leaning towards going with the expensive 3. I think I want to go with 3 genuine Uber Primo Rucks because this is a position, as I said before, it's a position that we've never been able to do, and I think there's always been a reason why. Supercoach has never allowed us to have more than 2, gun rucks, Uber premium rucks on the field at the same time, because anymore, and you'd certainly be able to manipulate that and end up getting more scores than you otherwise would, because the rucks, like I said, they're unstoppable. You cannot deny them their scores, their headouts to advantage, their contested possessions, their contested marks, and rucks nowadays are playing a secondary position where they'll fall behind the ball and take intercept marks, or maybe push forward and take some marks. So these rucks are unstoppable. And this is the first year where they've allowed us to play 3 of them. I'm going to take full advantage of that. And I'm going to run 3 Uber premium rucks. And the rucks tend to be the highest scoring players outside of the Uber primo mids. So I'm going to fade Flynn, and I'm going to hope that he is the biggest fraud traps of them all. I really hope so.
Yep.
Terry, Darcy, and Jackson. Yeah, I wouldn't go Jackson. I don't know. Jackson seems to be playing almost full-time forward at this point, with a fit and healthy Sean Darcy. So I probably wouldn't go with Jackson. Yeah, let us know, Gorn Mad. Let us know. Looking forward to seeing that next week. And guys, we're going to wrap it up there. It's been a longer one. 2 hours 15. Thank you guys so much for watching, for joining us for yet another Monday. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like. It will be great for the algorithm. Subscribe if you're new. Hit the notification bell to not miss out on any of the videos or the streams. We look forward to seeing you all in the next one.
Guys, if you missed out from the start of the video, we have set up memberships as well. So if that's something you're interested in, supporting us that way, it's only the price of a coffee. So yeah, jump on board if you want to. Get some exclusives throughout the season. Once Supercoach opens, we will have our community team and whatnot as well that you guys can be a part of. We most likely will have some team update videos coming this week, which would be cool. Some stuff just before Supercoach opening. And for you guys that have gold, we will be doing our annual rate our team for gold. I'm happy to do a Q&A video as well. So stay tuned. We'll post some stuff up on here, video or community post, and it will most likely be on our Facebook. So jump on there and keep an eye out as well.
Because, guys, here at the Centre Bounce, we do the hard work, so you don't have to.
Yeah, Supercoach opening soon for non-gold members.